Hey guys, Rachel Pedersen here. Today's interview is going to be insane. This is someone who I've been a friend to for almost 6 years. Um, Arne is the go-to expert on building communities, managing communities, and monetizing communities. I feel like I could talk all day because I respect Arne so much, but we're gonna just dive on into this interview so you can hear our little bit of banter, the fun that we have, but also he's going to share some of his best strategies for building community. Let's dive on in. Now, for those of you who are just tuning in, Arne is an absolute genius. And I don't say that lightly. I really mean this. You're the founder and owner of Group Funnels as one of many things that you've put together. But Arne is an expert in Facebook groups, monetization, launching courses, and creating juicy offers. I have to say, every time that you put something out there, I'm like, hold on, I committed to myself, no more buying anything. But you put out so many great offers, and you really understand not just online marketing, but business as a whole and how to take online marketing and integrate it. What else am I missing? That's a pretty good summarization.
Yeah, pretty good summary. And another big exciting part is we just went through a pretty powerful rebrand of I had always noticed we had this product here, and then the overarching brand was kind of Arnie. And I was like, okay, how can we make this like way bigger than me and like really shift it into a different movement and a different type of company. So we rebranded as Community and Conversions. And we just got the most epic new branding. My girlfriend did it, and just everybody that saw it was like, wait, is this you? Like, what happened here? Because I'm a lot more run and gun with my branding in general. And it's been fun to really kind of shift to a new level and see where we can take that in the future.
What made you so passionate about Facebook groups, and not just Facebook groups, because Facebook groups are an example of community, but what made you so passionate about community as a whole?
Yeah, I think part of it came in how I discovered it and how it shaped me as an entrepreneur too. Like a little over 5 years ago, I was like very on the outskirts of online business, kind of in like that watching entrepreneur mode. Like, this seems cool. I don't know what the heck's going on, but I want to, get in this somewhere. And I was reading this article on Entrepreneur Magazine that was all about community building for business. And it just kind of clicked because I was thinking about it. I was like, man, all these big brands with movements, people like GoPro, where everybody's creating all these incredible videos, and there's such a community of creators around the brand of GoPro and many other things. So I saw this article, and I reached out to the contributor, and I just said, hey, your article is just on point. I really just want to say good job. It was totally on my mind. And he wrote me back and said, hey, appreciate it. We actually just started a community for entrepreneurs on Facebook. If you want to come check it out, here's the link. So that was the first ever Facebook group for business I joined, probably in 2015. And I joined, and I started seeing all these other people that were doing what I wanted to do, which was like run online businesses. And, this guy does mobile apps, and this guy does this, and this guy has a food truck business, and like all of these different cool, smart people. And I was like, these are my people. Like I didn't have those people in my life before. I wasn't surrounded by entrepreneurs at all. I didn't have the network. I didn't have the knowledge. And just being in that made me feel like I was in the right place.
Yeah.
And knowing that like there's community for everybody is so cool. And being able to tap into that as a participant, as a leader, as a business leader, and just navigate all of those pieces of that. It's just like super fascinating for me.
That is so cool. And it wasn't long after that you started Millennial Entrepreneur Community, right? MEC.
Yep.
And it grew really fast. I mean, how big did it get, and how fast was that, like looking back over the
Yeah.
years?
So right before that, we had a couple of groups that, failed to launch, like got all crashed for different reasons. But all that, gave me some foundational lessons of what not to do, which is part of what I teach now. And that one, I remember I got it up to about 1,000 members, and I just kind of had this epiphany. I was like, if I had a live event with 1,000 people in front of me right now, like all these people in this room that are there to learn, to grow, to connect, like I would be going all out to create like the most incredible experience I could.
Yes.
And, you know, how could I show up? How can I over deliver? How can I make this really cool for everybody? And then I thought, why am I not doing that for the online community?
So
And it just kind of clicked for me. Like, the reason most groups are kind of stale is people don't care about the people's experience. They don't care about how they interconnect. They don't care about what they show up to every day. So when I kind of reverse engineered that by looking at other popular, you know, movements and brands and communities, whether it was on a group or not, that's when I started just grasping little concepts that I could kind of build into my strategies.
Yes.
That's when it started getting just, the growth was wild. It was like 1,000, doubled to 2,000. Next month went up to 5,000. And before I knew it, it was like 25, 50. And now we're like a little over 80K. So it's been wild to see.
Okay, so I have one big question because you've figured out a few things that really work well for groups. What are some of the things that you see people doing totally wrong and not even realizing it?
Yeah. So one thing that sucks to see, like a big frustration I see with people, is that even when they have the best intentions and they're present and they're consistent, they're like, I put out all this content and people don't engage and people don't buy, and I don't get it. I'm doing what the people said to do. I'm showing up. I'm going live. They just feel exhausted with the energy being spent on it and not getting what they want out of it. So what is happening there 80% of the time is they're just putting out what they think is valuable content, like how-tos, tips, you know, all topic-based things. But they're not thinking about the rest of the human experience of it, of what's funny, what's news, what's a good discussion, how can we get people interconnected, what can we do to make this more of a community than just an information hub? Because people can just Google stuff if they want information, but if they want a fuller experience with the community and with the brand, we got to think outside of the box of just posting value and tips. So that's a big one for sure. And what else? Of course, you know, the flip side of that coin is just not being consistent.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
I feel
killer.
like you're staring into my soul with this one, and I'm like, yes.
Which
Oh,
one, the consistency or?
for sure, for sure. Consistency, especially after our third kid, I was like, this is getting more challenging to be consistent with. And so I feel personally victimized by exactly what you're saying, which is what we should be doing.
Yeah, and I think it's a good opportunity to chat about that, actually, because like, you have so many awesome social platforms going on. You have these incredible businesses, and I know we all balance with, like, where do we put our energy and our attention into?
Yep.
So, like, how have you dealt with that?
Ooh, okay. So I'll be honest, I love creating content for almost every single platform. It's something I personally do. I don't like to outsource it because if I got rid of it, this is like one of my favorite parts of the entire business. I love creating TikToks. I like doing Instagram stories. I actually like Instagram now, which is a huge change. But I really think, like, what message do I want to bring to people and how can I support them on these platforms? And I'll take a look at what questions they're asking in groups, the emotions that they're going through. I really follow these things called the 4 E's. And it's actually funny now that I'm saying this, I'm like, wait, I'm not following this in our Facebook communities. That's really funny. So I'm like, how can I educate, entertain, get them to engage or engage with them, and then tap into emotion that I know people are feeling. And so I do that on every single platform except for Facebook groups right now. It's very inconsistent there, but it's my passion, as crazy as that sounds, creating content.
Yeah, love it. And like, I know, like, how like, very few people post as many times as you do, and
Yep.
I'm always seeing you in the feed. So kudos. Like, don't worry, it doesn't always have to be the groups that are seeing you.
But there's a huge opportunity there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I know some of the people watching this, they might actually be interested in supporting group owners with managing their communities. Is it possible for community managers to create and foster a sense of community without having the full buy-in of the owners? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. So, like, there's so many different flavors of that, and like, we work with, and we have worked with many different types of people there. Like, at the most, you know, basic of levels, like one of our VAs, admits people to the group, uses our group funnel software, and makes a welcome post. And so like the welcome post is people's kind of like doormat to the group, where they're just coming in, this is the first post, they're getting tagged in it. So that's part of getting them into the movement. And that role is definitely the least paid because it's the most mechanical. And then our next role up would be like one of my content managers. He does a lot of repurposing of my past content into the group. So it could be anything from posting up an old podcast episode and writing a new headline for it, or grabbing one of a past performing just Facebook post from the group or my timeline and just rescheduling that in. That is a little bit more like standard social media management. Mm-hmm. And then, I've had other people come in that do more, specific copy where it's higher skilled. So there's so many different ways to, assist group owners. And I think the highest paid ones of them are the more consultant types. So that's somebody who can understand like how the group fits in with the rest of the marketing ecosystem of like how, if you're running a launch campaign, okay, what needs to go in the group? How can we engage people? What social proof do we put in? Like, how do we engineer this whole experience to add to the business right now? Mm-hmm. And that's like the most highest paid people for sure who are assisting group owners.
I love that so much. So what are a few signs that you see in, let's say, large communities? Because I have a feeling people listening to this either have successful Facebook groups or they're probably going to manage them for large communities. Mm-hmm. What do you see as signs that like a group has been neglected? And then the second question is, does it stand a chance at being revived?
Yeah, totally. So the neglected groups, first thing you see is the lack of leadership. Mm-hmm. So if the leader isn't present or hasn't put people and things in place to have it kind of run more on its own, then it just kind of becomes more of a Wild West. Yeah. So like, have you ever noticed where if the group leader is like really nice and bubbly and cool, all the members act that way, and if the group leader is like rude and like calling people out and doing this, everybody else is like sharks, Yeah,
I feel like you literally just explained me and Dan Henry in one sentence. I'm just kidding. Like, no, I'm actually serious. We're very different from each other, but I noticed that it changes the energy of our communities too.
It completely. And the same thing happens with how present they are. Are they spammy? Are they just showing up to post links? Are they not showing up at all? Are they, what are they there for? What's the tone? And the leader always is going to set that. So when you create a culture of contribution, consistency, adding value, different things like that, then guess how the members show up? They're going to be consistent. They're going to add value. They're going to be helpful to other members. Yes. So it's like, they see you do it and then they're going to want to do it because they know that's how it goes down in the group.
So good. So good. And there is a chance to revive those groups, right? Because there are some groups that are 100,000 members plus. It's a beast to manage those.
Yeah, totally. And sometimes it's tough. Like my big group, I love that group, but sometimes because it's so big, it's like very off topic. Like we have people come in and they're like, hey, how do we, export coffee beans from Brazil? And I'm like, I don't think anybody helps you do that. Like, I don't know. That's kind of random. So when you get that big and the group isn't as niched, you get a lot of kind of randomness or people who don't get the culture of it or haven't been in there for a while. So it can be tough. But there's definitely also very large communities that are, a lot more branded, a lot more on point, and it's just a movement. Like Hal Elrod, he's got his Miracle Morning. That book, that Facebook group is like 200 some odd thousand members, and they all just come in and talk about morning routines.
That's like so cool.
I was chatting with him and he's like, my biggest problem with the group is everybody posts way more than me. When I post, people don't even see it. His community is so active. I think that's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so I know some people watching are going to be like, how do we learn more? Arne, where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, I'd say the best place is probably start with the Facebook group over at Community and Conversions. We also have a pretty brand new book on monetizing a group, which is 7 steps to monetize a group. That's pretty A to Z on the whole marketing ecosystem of how to tie the group in with all your other efforts. And that's a great spot as well. So start there, and plenty more things to help you out along the way.
I know I'm going to order that as soon as we're done here. I'm so excited to read it. This is going to be awesome. Arnie,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much for the time today. This has been awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Good to catch up. And as always, if I could do anything else to support the community, let me know. Happy to chat with you people.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll catch you later. Bye.
See ya.